Shannon from Cyprus. This is my story, Ronnie. It was a pleasure to burn. That's what Brian said. He fed the contents of Veronica Hadley Cross's suitcase, her leather Louis Vuitton handbag, Gucci trousers, Chanel shirts, and Jimmy Choo stilettos one by one into the barrel burner in the back of the garden a year after she had first appeared, a year plus 4 days after she had died. He thought he'd burnt everything, but he was wrong. Some of her things deserve to live on. I want a double room tomorrow for the week, her voice rumbled down the phone late that Saturday night. Too posh for our prices, too southern for our part of the country, and I swear to God she sounded like my girlhood idol, Kathleen Turner. Smoky, sexy, thrilling as distant thunder. I should have taken note. A storm was heading my way. Is it en suite? She asked. You're in luck. I have only one en suite. It was taken, but the party cancelled this morning. I said, relieved that the room would not lie fallow in this busy high-income week. How much? Late booking, single occupancy, high demand. Because of the new gallery opening, ding dong, I gave her the high season tariff, bumped by 20%. With full English, no breakfast. The room's $150 a night. And what do I get for that? Gold taps and sea views? Partial. I ignored the taps crack. Partial sea view. No need to mention she would have to stand on the balcony, lean out, and squint down the hill between the 5-story hotel-converted townhouses, and hope the mist hadn't rolled in off the North Sea. No need. Sea views are bloody overrated anyway, she said, and I want to smoke. This is a no-smoking establishment. I'll pay extra. Someone who was used to calling the shots then. £150 to steam clean when you vacate the room and a late booking fee. Purely arbitrary on my part, but I was beginning to not like her tone. She agreed, not that she had much choice. August, the town was booked to the gills, more than usual because of the high-profile, as the weekly paper labelled it, inaugural exhibition of the Northern Waves Gallery, including names whose work usually evoked wows, unspoken bewilderment, and prices beyond reasonable doubt. A misguided, in my view, project to bring more culture to the Northeast by the Lord Darlington estate and the Tate Modern. But who was I to complain when it meant increased custom? It's always good to count blessings, Ma'am would say, but counting pennies makes more sense. Ma'am, God rest her soul, had a point, always, about every bloody thing. So that's confirmed. I thought twice about taking her reservation, wondered if she was not English. Not a problem. I've had some very nice foreign guests, often more polite than many of our homegrown guests, in my opinion. Ma'am always said the empire took manners as well as trade to the colonies. But I decided her buried vows were a result of private education boarding school, not a mission school, and I folded away my doubts. A let was dinner on the table, as Ma'am would say. £1,000 plus extras was doing rah-rah with pom-poms in my brain. I took her name, Veronica Hadley Cross, a mouthful and definitely not working class. She rattled off her credit card details, which meant she had it ready, or the numbers were etched on the inside of her eyelids. Visa Platinum, if you please, and she paid in full. Either the Metropole and Royal were fully booked, or had refused her smoking diktat. In my profession, you learn to read people. Clearly, she was connected to the showing. She sounded the type. Opinionated, bossy, curator or critic, on an expense account, creaming off a few pennies on an overgenerous allowance, even with my extras. I've had plenty of those sorts staying at Seaview Heights. I thought the Heights helped offset any trade description objections. Journos, regional salesmen and sales ladies, yes, we know feminism and equality here. Conference organisers, and of course the usual assortment of BC or D-list celebrities, soap stars and game show hosts. All what Ma'am called leftover sirloin roast reduced to hot pot. And in my not inconsiderable experience, Even the well-heeled and well-connected can't resist making money when they have the chance. Give me and my Maria, my eagle-eyed housekeeper, a day or two, and Mrs. Veronica Hadley Cross would slip into the right slot. Not that I was really interested. The who or what or why didn't matter to me. It's a matter of pride that I never pry into the personal circumstances of my guests. Nor do I indulge in idle speculation. Not my place. Ma'am's mantra, and she drilled it into all of us, was, mind yours and never mind theirs. Next time, I'll follow my bloody instincts. On Sunday afternoon, mind, Davy Jones's cab pulled up. No, not the Davy Jones. He died years ago. Our Davy Jones was a Swansea fugitive who'd married a local lass. Although he used to cadge free pints down the King's Head, belting out Daydream Believer until he grew fat and his baby face got too craggy. Veronica Hadley Cross fell out of the taxi, pissed as the proverbial newt. Her black leather stilettos with bondage buckles designed to tumble catwalk models did their job. Halfway up the steps to the front door, she stumbled, recovered, and limped on. Davy dumped her small suitcase and cabin bag in the hallway. Pay the man and put it on my bill, she said from behind her oversized Anna Wintour sunglasses, rubbing her right ankle, oblivious to her ripped tights and her left knee peppered with blood. A coat of rabbit fur, sick rabbit, not mink, swamped her sparrow-like frame. You've got a right one here, my lovely, Davy whispered in my ear. I handed him a tenner. Gavin at the station said she fell off the plane. Blotto, apparently. I'll keep the change. I've earned it. Mrs. Hadley Cross, welcome. Ms. Hadley Cross. My friends call me Ronnie. Her words and hands oozed like sludge. Ronnie, then. I said friends. You're not there yet. I most certainly did not care to be her friend because while I'd never been scared of a guest, Veronica Hadley Cross made every instinct clang as if Quasimodo himself was ringing bells upstairs in the partial Seaview family room. But Davy had driven off. She'd paid handsomely, and this was business. Friends cost money, guests pay money. Don't confuse the two, Jean. Another of Ma'am's lessons learnt after a lifetime in the hospitality business. Up close, her pinned hair, more nicotine than blonde, clumped in thick rat's nests as if unbrushed for years. Think Trump on a bad head day. Yes, difficult, I know. Ms. Veronica Hadley Cross's face, camouflaged badly by shouty makeup, what man would call cheap showgirl, was at best 60, at worst 70. I showed her to the room, thanking what Ma'am called the God of small mercies, that her room was up the steep Victorian stairs away from the other guests. The dining room opens for breakfast at 6:30, she snorted, until 10 o'clock. No exceptions. We have a terrace if the weather's nice. She took a deep breath, held it, looked around, her carmine lips pursed, her nose wrinkled. Terrace? I think not. Besides, I told you I didn't want breakfast. And you forgot my ashtray, or will the floor do? Her tobacco-coloured fingers scrabbled in her vintage Louis Vuitton handbag. She dug out an enamelled and gilt cigarette case. Deeper excavation and more muttered profanities produced not a lighter, but one of those long-nosed candle-lighting gizmos you buy in Poundland. Her painted dragonfire fingertips, fingering like bonfire sparks, inched out a cigarette, which she slotted between her puckered lips. With the exaggerated deliberation of a drunk, she fired up the lighter wand and leaned into it. The cigarette trembled in its flame. She inhaled, once, twice, eyes closed. The look on her face was that of a woman ebbing after orgasm. The same look I imagined on mine, eyes also closed, when in the dark, after my Brian had done his business but not mine, after he rolled over and started snoring, after I had quietly done what he couldn't do, that look. When I brought her a pot of coffee and an ashtray, she lay wrapped in her coat, shoes kicked on the floor like tired kittens, still wearing her Gucci sunglasses. She waved a vein-corded hand at me. Take that crap away. Never drink it after midday. Have you had a long journey, Miss Hadley Cross? Fucking trains. I had to change twice, and I told you, is Ronnie. Clearly, I'd made the leap. What brings you so far up north? She ignored me. Well, I wasn't used to that. Any special plans? The exhibition? The spa? The coastal trail? She lifted her glasses and gave me a salty stare. Do I look like I walk fucking coastal paths? Her laughter was not encouraging. Right, just so you are aware, I lock the hotel at 10 p.m. If you need anything urgently out of hours, my cell number is in the information leaflet. Then I'll need a fucking key. During breakfast the next morning, there were complaints from the guests of a herby, no spicy, no a bit of both smell coming from Ronnie's room overnight, and singing, and shock, horror, laughter, and other unspecified, unseemly noises after midnight. Probably the television on too loud, I told them. She's in her 60s. I hope God it was the television, but a wee part of me smiled behind my cuts. However, my guests, good people, boring people, were regulars, so I went to have a word with her, but she'd slipped out, and by the time I left that evening hadn't returned. Later, Maria binned 4 empty wine bottles, a mini Everest of dead cigarettes, a still warm cannabis squib, half-eaten pizza, 2 scorched pillow slips, and a cushion stained and drenched with Australian Merlot from her room. I left a note informing her of fire hazards, costs incurred, and requesting she keep the television volume down. Tuesday morning, a young man in spray-on leathers carrying a crash helmet and an insulated delivery bag stood at the breakfast room door. You might want to check on Ronnie, he said. She's spacewalking. Don't know what we took, but Jesus, for an oldie, shit. If I lose this job, it'll have been worth it. He headed for the front door, pizza pronto emblazoned in red, white and green across his back. Ronnie lay naked on the bed, singing He Did It My Way, a la Sinatra. She sat up when I entered. No modesty, no shame. Bring me coffee, hot and strong like that young man who just left. She laughed like an unblocked drain and wiped what I briefly mistook for blood, then hoped was pizza sauce, smeared over her bare breasts. I returned with coffee as she came out of the bathroom wearing only a red polka dot pair of bikini briefs, the sort 15-year-olds buy from Primark, the sort I'd longed for as a girl. Her breasts hung pendulous and her belly puckered from age and an old scar. Upright, her thighs, without the benefit of nylon, were dimpled and veined like ripe Stilton. War paint on, hair pinned, she stood, legs apart, right hand slouched on her hip as she poured the coffee. She didn't give a damn, and in that moment, I loved her. Miss Hadley Cross, I run a respectable house here. I must ask you to leave. I worked those words as hard to sound like I meant them. What I wanted to say was, you go, girl, and maybe take me with you. Teeth clenched to stop her cigarette from falling, her smoke-filled eyes squinty, she said, I've paid for my room. Sultry, glamorous, dangerous, my Kathleen Turner in body heat. I was excited just looking at her. After an hour of ringing round, I found her a room at Marjorie Connolly's old custom house hotel near the port. I told Marjorie Ronnie wanted something nearer the sea, closer to the centre. I lied that the hill to mine was difficult for the older lady. Marjorie had a couple of guests, women she was convinced were in an unholy alliance. I offered to take them in exchange at a reduced rate. That swung the deal. After 2 more hours of Ronnie's verbal abuse, full reimbursement of the paid week, the extra £100 late booking fee, and another 100 on top For her inconvenience, I finally got her out of the house. Maria did a rush job cleaning and fumigating the room. Claire and Jennifer were delighted, not just with the partial sea view and cheaper rate, including full English, but to be away from the disapproving lifts of Marjorie's Pentecostal eyebrows. The sirens woke me and the town just after midnight. By morning, nothing was left of Marjorie Connolly's old Custom House Hotel, but ashes and wisps of smoke released by the last embers, sizzling in the rain. I took no part in the speculation or blame afterwards, but did offer to take Ronnie's suitcase, which had somehow survived the flames, for safekeeping until kith or kin claimed them. No one ever did. The nights Brian went down the pub, I'd put on those red knickers, tell Mam to keep her thoughts to herself, and swan around the house in Ronnie's coat and fuck me Louboutin shoes. At night, she'd come to me. She'd sit on the end of my bed, look at Brian snoring, look at me, cross her legs, and light up. Are you really planning to die like this, with him, with this life? And where would I go, Ronnie? What would I do? This, I looked at Brian's back. Here's all I know. Bollocks. You have money. I know how much you've got tucked away in the accounts. The accounts he doesn't know about. You've thought about doing a runner since forever. You just need me, don't you, girl? I'm not a girl. No, neither am I. But did that ever let that stop me? I bloody well had fun up to the moment I died. Watching those flames lick up Marjorie fucking Connolly's jacquard curtains was beautiful. It was a pleasure to watch them burn. And what shall you do? I don't know yet, but I tell you, we will know when we reach the city. Thank you for listening.